something is wrong in my stomach or in my intestine or at the back, don't just ignore it.
So you're talking of bowel, bladder, ureter, kidneys, so you have to be very careful.
Plus, we provide practical health tips for living a healthy lifestyle, no matter what challenges you may face. Only on KBC Channel 1.
Napenda kutumia nafasi hii baada ya kuzungumza nawe kuwatakia Wakenya wote heri na fanaka za Krismasi, na pia tunawatakia mwaka mwema wa 2025, mwaka ambao utakuwa na umaarufu mwingi kwao na kwa jamii zao. Asante sana.
You're just in time to get the latest and some of the stories making headlines at this hour. Welcome to the broadcast. My name is Abdiaziz Hashim. The sign language interpreter at the bottom end of the screen is Anne Wangeshi. Talk to us on our social media platforms at KBC Channel 1 and at Abdiaziz Hashim 2. Now, former employees of Mumias Sugar Company took to the streets to demand payment on their salary arrears amounting to 2.4 billion shillings. Led by their union chairperson, Patrick Mutimba, the workers expressed frustrations over their struggles to meet basic needs amidst the rising cost of living. The protesters questioned why former employees of other sugar companies had received their payments from the Ministry of Agriculture as promised by the president, while those from Mumias Sugar were seemingly sidelined. Now, the workers have now issued a 14-day ultimatum to the factory's management and the Ministry of Agriculture to address their grievances, warning of intensified protest and disruption of operations at the factory if their demands are not met.
Sisi tunamsihi tu na tunaendelea kumuomba na tunamuomba kila wakati ya kwamba pesa zetu tulipwe na 2027 hata bado tuko na yeye, bora atulipe pesa yetu. Sisi tunamshabikia yeye na tunampenda sana, na yeye ni mtu wa kusema na kutenda, na I know he'll not go back on his words.
Leo hii nasimama hapa kuomba rais, wewe ni mtu wa kusema na kutenda, na wewe mwenyewe unasema namna hivyo. Ni kwa nini usitusaidie tupate hizo pesa?
Kama hata tulipa malimbikizi yetu ya mishahara na dues zetu, sisi we are going to take what we call an industrial action, including moving to court.
So most of us are dying. We have lost a lot of people. We are suffering. Some of us hata tuko tu bado pale, we are stuck. We don't know how to leave that place.
Tunashangaa serikali, tunakuja tu hapa viongozi wakuje waongee maneno tuwapigie makofi, ama sisi pia ni wana Kenya tunatakana tushughulike kama watu wengine.
Malipo yetu wafanywe kazi, malipo yetu.
Elsewhere, gender activists are calling on the government to lend support to widows and formulate policies that will cushion them from various violations, including disinheritance. This even as they called on Kenyans to extend a kind gesture to the needy during this festive season.
Christmas came early for over 200 widows from Marmanet in Laikipia West constituency. Philanthropists in the area had partnered with local leadership to organize a luncheon for them. Each one of them also got Christmas holiday gift. Speaking during the luncheon, Professor Mary Murimi, a nutritionist from Texas Tech University, called on the government to continue supporting and fighting for widows' needs and rights that are mostly violated.
I wish and I pray and I request that the government will have a real practical need for a way of solving the problems of widows. They don't even have the security of having a man in the house. Their children are gone, and they don't want to hold them back. They themselves, as you will see in some of the widows we are feeding today, they can't even walk. They have 2 sticks. They don't even have a wheelchair. Some couldn't come because they are not able to work.
Marmanet member of County Assembly Simon Kanyutu called on the county leadership and other well-wishers to extend help to the needy during this festive season.
And I would wish also our county to have such an idea whereby we can be assisting the widows within the locality. This is just one location, and I'm happy for the idea that Professor has initiated.
We wish you a Merry Christmas.
Separately, local investors in the country have joined hands to support 25 children's homes across the country with an assortment of food, clothes and essential items. While spearheading the initiative at Mogra Children's Home in Muthaiga, Nairobi, Broadway Group of Companies Marketing Director Devan Shah said the donations will go a long way in providing relief to the children's homes, which often struggle to maintain sustainable food supplies and finances.
This year we thought that let's maybe go out, look for some children's homes that are needy, that we know are supported well, are looked after well. We got recommendations from our staff, from people that we know, and then we decided to start with these 25 children's homes this year.
The home, which shelters 600 children, receive food items, sports materials and other essentials.
Now, youths have been challenged to identify and develop their talents in sports, which has proved to be a lucrative venture both locally and internationally. Speaking at the Luanda Dudi Secondary School grounds during the Charles Wambiem at 60 Super Cup, local leaders promised to work together to empower the youth through sports. Wambiem, who is the Chief Executive Officer of the National Heroes Council, donated various sports equipment, including football, to various clubs in the region.
The Charles Wambia at 60 Super Cup took place at the Luanda Dudi Secondary School grounds in Kakamega County. The event brought together local football teams. Wambia, who is the Chief Executive Officer of the National Heroes Council and sponsor, had turned 60. Here he challenged the local youth, more so girls, to emulate Kenyan women under 17 who recently left a mark in the global arena.
I'll talk to my good friends, nifanye tournament mzuri ya girls on a different level so that they can also showcase. Remember, kuna kitu kimoja, it's only the girls in this country under 17 who have played World Cup. Can you clap for the girls? It's only the girls.
He pledged to continue supporting sporting talent at the grassroots.
MCA, you have a big job I'm giving you. Make talent nurturing a very important thing. And for all the people who supported me, I want to thank Mozart, whom when I approached them to support me with the kits, they gave me the kits, and I want to thank them very much.
Mimi pia niko na talent na hii mpira naomba pia iendelee huku Kakamega.
Juu nimekuwa my intention, natamani kuwa international player. Ni mchezaji hodari sana, tena ni defender mzuri. Najiamini katika mchezo.
His sentiments were echoed by other local leaders.
Naweza ambia viongozi wengine ambao hawajafanya kitendo kama hichi ili tuweze kucheza, tuimarishe talanta yetu.
Shikilia hiyo mchezo na utajipata umeendelea sawa sawa, na hata unaweza kuwakilisha national team.
Vile mumekaa hapa nimeona kuna a lot of peace, nimeona mumeshirikiana vizuri na tunawaombea ya kwamba muendelee hivi.
The chief guest during the tournament, Ben Omboko, a local member of County Assembly, urged youth to identify and develop their talents in sports, which has turned out to be a lucrative sources of income from local and international platforms.
Napenda kusema kwamba dunia saa hii michezo inalipa, hata hizi kazi tukomo. Na ndio maana tungependa kuambia vijana wadogo ambao bado wako nafasi ya kucheza, watumie hii nafasi vizuri.
Now, the National Agency for the Campaign Against Drug Abuse, NACADA, has launched a 3-day campaign across sub-counties in Busia to sensitize locals on the effects of drug abuse during this festive season. NACADA says Busia is among counties recording a high rate of alcohol abuse at 35%. The trend, the agency says, has negatively impacted on the residents. Meanwhile, security officers have heightened surveillance along the Busia border to seize drugs or liquor being sneaked into the country from Uganda.
Pombe na mihadarati kwa vile madhara yake ni mengi sana. Madhara yake kwa jamii, kwa familia, kulingana na survey ile NACADA ilifanya mwaka uliopita, inafika kama pombe inafika karibu 35% of population, bangi chini kiasi, lakini kulinganisha na sehemu zingine za Kenya inafika karibu 7%. Hiyo ni juu sana.
We have our security team at the border. So wakati pombe inapita kukuja huku, maybe wakipitia njia yenye serikali ya kukuwa anajua. But we have our people at the border and they are doing a very great job. Kwa sababu pombe ikitoka Uganda kuja hapa, lazima atakutana na maofisas wa serikali hapo, security team, ambao wao wamekuwa wakitusaidia kuwashika hapo.
Na have peer pressure, we have bad company, and we just have just queer behaviors, children just wanting to behave out of norm, kuprove point.
Kwa hivyo kufikia saa hizi nimesema ya kwamba kwa ule ushirikiano ambao tumetengeneza na ndugu zetu maafisa wa NACADA hasa kutoka hapa Busia, tumejaribu kufanya hiyo sensitization hasa kwa zile community ambazo zinakaa across the border, kuelimisha wenzetu, na kwa hakika saa hizi tunapozungumza ndugu zetu, members wetu ambao wanafanya kazi katika sekta ya bodaboda wameipuka kabisa.
Now, the government has been urged to forge collaborations with the private sector and accelerate the export of digital skills to curb unemployment in the country. Robert Manala, the founder and CEO of RobiSearch, a tech company, says there is need for embracing technology to enhance sustainability in the ever-evolving world of economy. Manala has also called for urgent reskilling and training of the youth with the intention of tapping available opportunities in the tech world.
If government can be able to provide opportunity where they have specific departments that look at the solution that can help Kenya, then that kind of department, I don't know whichever department it can be, but a department that will just be looking at solution and they fund the right solution so that the money goes to the right place.
I would encourage private enterprises and especially small, medium-sized enterprises to value their people and to invest in them. When you invest in people, then people will give their all to you.
The late retired Deputy Commissioner General of Prisons Charles Arandu Gituma has been eulogized as a dedicated, disciplined and a senior government officer of high integrity. Speaking during his funeral mass that was held at Meru National Polytechnic grounds, former Meru Governor Kiraitu Murungi hailed the late Gituma for his dedicated service while he was a senior prison officer. Kiraitu said it was during the time when the late Gituma was a Deputy Commissioner General of Prisons that the prisoners felt a revolution in the correctional facilities. Sentiments echoed by the Health Principal Secretary Mary Muthoni and Buri Lawmaker Mugambi Rikindiri. Now, the late Gituma is the elder brother of the current Commissioner General of Prisons, Patrick Mwiti Arandu.
Remember, prisoners are human beings, and prisoners are entitled to all their rights except the freedom of movement. And as you know, you're also having a lot of challenges, especially in the area of housing, and with the low-cost housing program. There's no reason why we should be complaining.
We have seen prisoners, and we have seen how we have improved on even the welfare of the prisoners. Again, the welfare of the staff. And I have heard about housing, which is a key agenda of this government of the day. It is upon you, Commissioner General, to take that legacy and move it forward.
This is a man with an example. This is a man who has mentored people. This is a man who is a serious family person. This is a great entrepreneur. This is a man that each one of us would like to emulate.
In service instilled us in.
Now, police in Kajiado County have nabbed 1,000 cartons of fake cigarettes along the Namanga Highway. The consignment was on transit from the neighboring Tanzania to an unknown destination in Kenya. A truck intercepted at a roadblock was found to be ferrying the cigarettes, contrary to the Kenya Revenue Authority stamps that indicated the truck was ferrying sunflower. Kajiado County Commissioner James Starry said the truck driver is in police custody, awaiting to be arraigned in court on Monday as a manhunt for other accomplices continues.
Tulipofungua ndio tukaona ni cigarette ya Supermatch, which is not even standardized. So we cannot even tell whether this cigarette is safe for our own local market consumption. So far we have managed to arrest the driver of this trailer. But the owner, because there's somebody known, we're also looking for him.
And on that note, we'll take our first commercial break here on KBC's Lunchtime News. Don't go too far. We still have more for you, including what is happening in the world of sports.
It's a game changer with regional impact.
This is the community that was forgotten.
For now, we are okay.
Tumefurahi maana ameleta maendeleo kubwa sana.
When you look at this project, it has many components. That's what makes it unique.
We had schools and markets, including even health centers.
This project will go a long way in opening up the region in northwest Kenya.
It is a model that took transport connectivity to the next level.
We also bring new ideas and innovation to the people who live in this area.
The impact of the Kenya-South Sudan Link Road this Sunday at 6:40 p.m. on KBC.
Enjoying our festivities and gearing up for Christmas Day. One question lingers in my mind. What is the origin of Christmas?
The celebration of Jesus' birth is not just called Jesus' birth, it is called Christmas. The celebration of Mass during Christ's Day, which is Christmas.
The reason it was dated at that 25th, they say now, because we have the Christian fraternity mixed up with the pagan culture. They also claim to be the birth of a son. And they are also talking about the birth of a son. So they just dated it together. Now the merging together made it the birth of our Lord Jesus Christ.
So by the time Christmas was being given a date and a time and being told that the birth of Jesus Christ, there was already celebration in the pagan world. So they were all brought together so that the whole world can celebrate.
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Now, education stakeholders in Migori County are urging for an increase in the education allocation budgets to support learners who have not met the university entry requirements. Now, speaking at an education event in Nyatike, where the success of the Mwangaza education program was celebrated, Migori Governor Dr. Ochilo Ayako emphasized the importance of investing in human capital, both in institutions of higher learning and tertiary colleges. Governor Ayako urged students who do not qualify for university admission to consider enrolling in technical and vocational training institutions to acquire the skills needed.
Chimiwa Odege, you have thought of building human beings. That is much better than building those physical things, because these human beings now have the capacity to build all those things and think more and even create jobs. Sisi Mheshimiwa, when you mentioned the people with the D and the E, those are people that we also need to uplift. Because if we do not uplift them, those with the D and the E will not allow us to sleep. That is why we have vocational training hapa Migori County.
It is the biggest equalizer kwa binadamu. Hii ndio kitu ambaye inaweza saidia watu kwenda mbele. Kwa dunia ya saa hii, mtu ambaye hana elimu, hakuna kitu ambaye anaweza. So lazima tufanye bidii, tuungane.
To the coast now, where 70 traders who suffered heavy losses when a fire destroyed their businesses at Bura Market in Tana River County have received 1.1 million shillings and other supplies to help them restart their businesses. County leaders led by Tana River Senator Danson Mungatana visited the area and promised further assistance for the victims. The traders, however, expressed deep concern over the lack of firefighting equipment in the area and urged the county government to take responsibility and address the issues accordingly.
Yule ambaye amepata hasara ndogo, hakuna hasara ndogo. Yule ambaye amepotekewa na mali kiasi, apewe kiasi yake. Lakini tusisikie lawama kesho ya kwamba mheshimiwa, ile bidii yote umefanya imetumika kwa watu wawili watatu ya watu fulani.
Hii Bura imekuwa tamu kubwa. Tunaomba iwe na gari ya kuzima moto. Maana gari ya kuzima moto hata kama ni mzuri kutoka Hola mpaka hapa, atafika ziko vitu yote mengua, sio? Tutasaidika kweli. Lakini kama gari iko hapa karibu, tutasaidika. Na pengine janga haitakuwa hii peke yake, Mungu anajua. Lakini mzuri ujitahadhari, tuwe na tahadhari.
Now, coast leaders have embarked on a plan to address the perennial squatter problem. This follows a directive from President William Ruto, who tasked the leaders from the region to start the process so that the government can acquire land to resettle the squatters. Already, coast governors under the Jumuiya ya County za Pwani met with Senate Speaker Amason Jeffa Kingi and Mining Cabinet Secretary Ali Hassan Joho to agree on how to kickstart the process. Each governor is expected to identify the parcel of land in question and give the list by next week Friday. Kingi says parcels to be given priority include those belonging to absentee landlords, which he said will be acquired and allocated to squatters.
Kuna wananchi ambao wamepoteza maisha yao kwa sababu ya mizozo baina ya squatters na wale ambao wanamiliki zile ardhi. Kwa hivyo tukasema kwamba zile ardhi ambazo zimejaa wananchi na zina mizozo baina ya wale wananchi na wenye kumiliki ardhi zile tutazipatia kipaumbele katika mpangilio huu wa serikali kununua na kuwapatia makao wananchi. Manake katika bajeti ya mwaka huu tayari kumetengwa pesa ya kununua mashamba haya.
Msianze kuingia mashambani ukiona ndio utapata, kwa sababu tuko na record ya wale wako kwa shamba. Ukienda kujiweka mpya utapotea hapo.
Now, a human rights group in Garissa has raised concerns about numerous challenges communities face in obtaining essential identity documents, including birth certificates and national identification cards. Speaking in Summit during issuance of the birth certificates. The group's program manager, Hashim Abdullahi, said recently added charges for obtaining birth certificates and distance to access offices remained major challenges. She said most communities in the area where there is no civil registration office are forced to travel and even spend days as they search for essential documents. Abdullahi noted that many school-going children do not have the documentation.
Na tunataka turudishiwe mara nyingine na tutengenezewe hapa ofisi ambayo inahudumu hapa. Kama sisi wakaja tuseme tuko na shida ya birth certificate, tunasafiri huko kwa muda, tunakuwa stranded huko. Garissa ni 80 kilometers from here to Garissa, so tuko na shida ya hiyo. Sasa tunataka serikali tuangalie haki yetu.
With the help of haki na sheria, now we have increased the number of children that were given or issued with the birth certificates today. With the help of also the civic registration office, Garissa.
Public Service Cabinet Secretary Justin Muturi has called for intentional preservation of cultural diversity as a means of protecting marginalized communities. Now, Muturi, who spoke during the Mbere Culture Festival held at the St. Batika Siakago Girls, said that the protection of the cultural diversity was a constitutional principle that should be upheld by the state and Kenyans. Now, culture, according to Muturi, is foundation of every state and culmination of various civilization. The CS and other leaders accompanying him rallied locals to back President William Ruto's administration and remain wary of politicians fanning divisive politics.
It is important to preserve our culture. It is not the preservation of one's culture does not alienate you from the rest of the country, because we have that diversity recognized in the Constitution, and that is what unifies the people of Kenya. It brings people together.
The national values and principles of governance. One of them is protection of marginalized communities. Na kama hatuko na siku kama hii ya kuhakikisha kwamba tunaongea maneno yetu ya kimila yetu, ni rahisi sana kuwa tutakuwa tumesaulika.
Tushikilie serikali ya William Ruto ambaye inaangalia maslahi yetu, na deputy wake Abraham Kediki Kithure ametoka Mount Kenya East.
Now to the political front, where a section of political leaders from Embu County have welcomed the recent cabinet reshuffle that saw inclusion of retired President Uhuru Kenyatta's allies into the current government. The leaders say the changes reflect President William Ruto's desire to form an all-inclusive government to accelerate and expedite implementation of key programs to address challenges facing Kenyans.
Tumeona rais wetu William Ruto ako na anja, hata kama watu wengi walikuwa nasema ana uhusiano, hataki uhusiano na Mount Kenya. Tumeona upendo mwingi ambayo wa Mount Kenya
mpaka mahali tumefika. Sasa ndio tunaona ile tuliambiwa broad base, sasa ndio imeanza kufanya kazi. Kwa ufupi naweza sema kutoka wakati the recent appointment ile ilikuwa ya mwanzo, alafu tukakuja hii nyingine watu wameongezewa kwa serikali. Nimeona mimi kama mwana Jubilee, kwa sababu mimi nilikuwa kwa Jubilee, nimeona at least watu wale walikuwa in the former government wameguzaguzwa, kuna wengine wamewekwa kwa serikali. Bado tulikuwa tumeona tu ni watu wazimia upande wa ODM, lakini sasa nimeona kuna tumeingia mpaka tukaingia upande huu mwingine wa watu wa Jubilee.
A section of clergy in Homa Bay County have urged parents to prioritize setting aside finances for their children's education, especially during this festive season. The clergy called for financial prudence, especially during the festivities, as schools are expected to reopen immediately after. With schools expected to reopen for the first time from January 6th, payment for school fees and purchasing of books, uniforms and other essentials will be top on the priority list for parents.
Let us not overspend because schools are soon opening. January is going to come and it will come with its own challenges.
It could have been that you faced challenges during this year 2024, but how we pray that we finished the year strong and the missed opportunities to just gear us ahead, and we should just start a year with the grace of God.
And now finally, welcome to the world of sports. The national under-17 soccer team failed to secure a spot in the semi-finals of the CECAFA Under-17 African Cup of Nations qualifiers, finishing third in Group A. The Kenyan team suffered a heavy 5-0 defeat to host nation Uganda in their final group match at the Nakivumbo Ham Stadium in Kampala. In another Group B match, Somalia, the 2022 zonal champions, scored a late goal to defeat Sudan 1-0 at the same venue. As a result, Uganda and Somalia have advanced to the semi-finals. Uganda will face Somalia in the second semi-final, while South Sudan will take on Tanzania on December 24th. The finalists will earn an automatic qualification for the CAF Under-17 African Cup of Nations set to be held next year in the Ivory Coast. Now, of course, due to biasness, they will not tell you this, that Arsenal yesterday won 5-1 against Crystal Palace and Aston Villa beat Manchester City 2-1. Of course, the streak continues for Manchester City, only winning one game after they played 12 of them. Now, this Sunday, this afternoon, Everton will be taking on Chelsea at Goodison Park, and of course, Man United. Who can forget Man United, of course, after changing and of course losing during the week, will be facing Bournemouth. And finally, Spurs will be welcoming Liverpool, who are currently on top of the table and have one game in hand at the Spurs Stadium. Those are your matches in the English Premier League to conclude that particular week before the Christmas ends. My name is Abdiaziz Hashim. The sign language interpreter at the bottom end of the screen is Anne Wangeshi. Good afternoon for now.